I bet before today you thought you knew the story of the Wicked Witch of the West. No, not that one. No, not that one either. Really close, really close, but not quite that one. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Welcome if you're new, welcome if you're not new and you're an old veteran of my Once Upon a Time videos. We are on season 3B. If you don't know what I'm talking about, if you're completely new, this is my fourth video in my series where I sort of analyze, break apart, break down the TV series Once Upon a Time that ran from 2011 to 2017. We are on the second half of season 3, so not quite on season 4. It's a little bit misleading. In fact, I might even release a video of both 3A and 3B together, so if you see another video soon, don't freak out. It's just like, I think some people like to have them, you know, the whole like 2.5 hours or whatever it may be. But yeah, so last season, we took down Peter Pan. We took him down. We discovered that he's one of our villain's fathers. We saved Henry. That was big. Oh no. We did a lot last season. And if you didn't see that, go ahead and click on the video. Actually, it'll probably be in the link below. Season 2, we brought back magic to Storybrooke. We did a lot there. We saved Emma and Snow from the Enchanted Forest. We were introduced to the throuple of the times. We figured out who Henry's father is. We did a lot. In season 1, I mean, if you really have no idea what I'm talking about, you're gonna wanna go back to season 1 where we meet Emma, just a regular woman, bail bondswoman, working in, I think, Boston, until one day her 10-year-old son shows up and says, "My name's Henry, I'm your son, and all of your family members are storybook characters that were cursed to live in a small town in Maine, and you have to come break the curse." So if that doesn't seem familiar to you, you're going to want to go back and watch season 1. But until then, welcome to season 3B of Once Upon a Time. As always, feel free to comment down your theories, your explanations. If I got anything wrong, comment that down below. Here is everything that happened in season 3B of Once Upon a Time. Season 3, Episode 11, New York City Serenade. So, we left off Season 3A. The entire cast of characters, anybody who had been born in the Enchanted Forest, had to go back. So Pan's curse was coming to take Storybrooke away, and they all had to escape it or else they would be trapped there once again forever with no memories of who they really are. The only people that can really escape are Emma and Henry because they were not born in the Enchanted Forest. At the end of Season 3A, we watched as Emma and Henry, who have forgotten everything about Storybrooke, about the Enchanted Forest, are in their New York City apartment and they're chilling and they're vibing until Captain Hook shows up to try and kiss Emma. Naturally, she had kneed him in the groin and like pushed him away because that's weird behavior. She doesn't know he's sort of her lover. She doesn't know he's Captain Hook. We don't know. And that's where that season ended. So we pick up naturally in this season in the Enchanted Forest. Someone is riding like hell. Prince Philip is riding to have a gorgeous picnic with a pregnant Aurora. Everything's beautiful, everything's gorgeous, but then a purple curse is coming. The smog, the purple smoke is rolling in. When the purple smoke disappears, all of our Storybrooke residents have found their way back to the Enchanted Forest to be greeted by Philip and Aurora. Now, timelines. If you're a veteran, you can hold all of these things in your brain. I'm sure newbies, you can as well, but just know we're gonna have to lock it. So, in New York, 1 year later, so 1 year after the purple curse brought our Storybrooke residents to the Enchanted Forest, we watch Emma going on a date. Obviously, they kind of know each other quite well. He's asking after Henry, he's asking, you know, how's work, how are things going? And she's having a great time. When he goes up to like run to the bathroom or whatever, Captain Hook sits down in his seat and Emma's like, "Oh my God, not you again. I don't know who you are. What is going on?" So Emma has seen Hook before. She calls him a stalker. He apologizes for trying to kiss her at the end of last season. He's trying to convince her that her parents are in danger and that they need help. Remember, Emma at this point thinks she's an orphan. She doesn't remember any of this. She doesn't believe him. She doesn't remember him. He gives her an address, and he's like, if you want to know who your parents are, go to this address. Back in the Enchanted Forest, our Storybrooke citizens are catching up with Philip and Aurora. Snow wants to return to her family castle to take it back. Remember, that's where she grew up. That's where, after Snow went on the run, Regina ruled from that castle. But someone has taken up residence in the castle, and we don't yet know who. On the side, Aurora turns to Philip, and she's like, they've returned. We have to tell her, or else she'll hurt our child. We don't know who she is. Back in our world, again, a year later, Walsh proposes to Emma at dinner. And this kind of comes out of the blue. They've been dating for a while, but Emma's still a little bit panicked. It's kind of scary, especially for someone who believes she has no family, no ties to anybody except for Henry. Instead of saying anything, she walks out on the date. Things are going too fast and she needs a minute. Back in the Enchanted Forest, all of the Storybrooke residents are popping up all around the Enchanted Forest, and they are going to take the castle back. Except Hook. Hook is kind of done with fairy tale drama, and he wants to try and find the Jolly Roger and return to his life of piracy. Meanwhile, Neil wants to go back to his father's castle. At this point, okay, important, remember, we believe that Gold is dead. Gold died at the end of last season. He sacrificed himself to destroy Pan. He stabbed himself with his own dagger. Belle cried, Neil cried. It was a whole thing. So he wants to go back to the castle and sort of like see where his father lived after he had given up Neil during his childhood. He is also wanting to see if there's possibly a portal back to Storybrooke. Because, of course, Rumple's castle is filled with dark magic, all of this powerful magic, and he wants to get back to his, I was going to say wife, but they're not married. He wants to get back to his Emma and his son, Henry. Meanwhile, Emma is still thinking about the address that Hook had given her. She goes to the address, breaks in, naturally, and we know that it's Neil's apartment. We saw this in season 2, but, of course, Emma doesn't remember this. She finds an old dream catcher and a couple other things that kind of clue her into the fact that it is Neil's apartment. She remembers Neil conceptually, but she doesn't remember anything about Storybrooke or anything about the plot. Then she finds Henry's old camera. It's a camera with a strap that says Henry on it. He had left it there in season 2 when they visited New York. But of course, why would Neil have that? How would he know anything about Henry? She confronts Hook about the camera. She wants answers. He gives her a potion to drink that will give her all her memories back, but obviously we don't go around taking drinks from random strangers. And she handcuffs him to a bench to arrest him. He's under arrest for assault because he kissed her without consent and it was kind of violent and you know what? Fair. So back in the Enchanted Forest, all of our characters are walking up to the castle. Belle is kind of wondering whether or not Rumple is really dead because he'd killed himself and Pan using the Dark One dagger, but they'd never actually seen the dagger. They haven't seen it since. So she thinks there's a possibility he could be alive. Meanwhile, Regina, where is she? She's left the group to rip out her heart and bury it. She's burying her own heart because she misses Henry. She's feeling grief. So she's taking her heart out so she feels less pain. Snow, of course, sees this and attempts to convince Regina to hold on to her heart because pain is what makes us human. Pain is what makes you a hero. Pain is a good thing in this context. And this works. It is revealed that something is watching them from the bushes. Some creature that can kind of fly around. You know, we see it watching them. You know how it goes. It's a flying something. It's a flying monkey. As they're talking, the flying monkey, really goes for Regina, really attacks them from out of nowhere. And it's kind of scary. But who saves Regina and Snow from the creature? The creature. Robin Hood and his merry men. I forgot to print out the merry men. So they kind of have the same energy as the dwarves as sidekicks, but I forgot to print out the merry men. Sorry to the merry men. Do we remember Robin Hood? This is the man that Tink had told Regina was her true love, the man with the lion tattoo. After all this, They finally get to the castle, but the castle is surrounded by a protection spell of green magic. This is not Regina's magic, which Regina's magic is usually purple, hence the purple curse, which means there's a different sorcerer in the castle, and Regina wants them out. Back in our world, Emma decides to say yes to Walsh's proposal, but she's also developed the pictures on Henry's camera. So she bails Hook out of jail because these photos are photos of Emma and Henry in Storybrooke that she has never seen. She doesn't think she's ever been to a town called Storybrooke, but she's beginning to think that Hook might be right. She drinks the potion and it all comes back. We get a wobbly montage of everything that's happened in the past 2.5 seasons, and Emma remembers. This is big. Hook is catching Emma up on everything that's been going on. So Pan, they've left. There was a whole year that has gone by between the events I'm telling you in the Enchanted Forest and this interaction between Hook and Emma. But Hook has not been there for most of it because he left on the Jolly Roger. Basically, what we know is that during the lost year, there was another curse that brought everyone from the Enchanted Forest back to Storybrooke, and no one remembers who did it and why, and no one remembers anything of the events of the lost year. The only hope is for Emma to save them. Again. During this conversation, Emma's boyfriend walks over, fiance now, and she's like, shit. She needs to break up with him. It's well and dramatic. He wants her to stay in New York, all these things. He's like, I love Henry, like I want to be a family. I can be your family, you know, because you didn't have one. Until now. But he's getting kind of weird. He's like, but we could be a family, like we could like hang out if only you hadn't taken the potion that Hook gave you. And she's like, huh? How do you know about that? Clearly he's caught up in all of this because he turns into a flying monkey. So that's good. He's been a flying monkey this whole time. He attacks Emma. She's able to fight him off because she's badass. The next morning, Emma lies to Henry, saying that there is a new case she has to investigate in Maine and that they're going to go to Maine immediately. She packs everything up. The last thing we see of New York is her grabbing her old iconic red leather jacket from the closet. She's back in the curse game. So they arrive in Storybrooke. Everything is as they've left it. She goes to reunite with her parents in their old apartment. They remember her and it's really sweet, and we see Emma and Snow and David, they all get to hug, and it's anytime they reunite, it's really adorable. And again, they reveal they can't remember anything of the lost year or their time in the Enchanted Forest, which is kind of crazy because Mary Margaret is very pregnant. She's like 8 months pregnant at this point. So they need to figure out who took the memories, who did all this. Speaking of memories, there wasn't enough potion to give Henry. So he doesn't know who these people are. So Emma is telling him, oh, they're old family friends, all this stuff, but he doesn't even know anything about anything. Back in the Enchanted Forest, it is revealed who is taking up residence in the old castle. Who has these flying monkeys? It's a witch with emerald green skin, and she says, sort of, to no one, Regina, the queen, may be evil, but I'm wicked. You thought you knew the story of the Wicked Witch? Think again, because our villain of the season is the Wicked Witch of the West. Okay, on 3, everyone do the Cynthia Erivo riff. 1, 2, 3. Okay. We're just gonna put her right there. Can you see her? Iconic. Season 3, episode 12, Witch Hunt. So, the Wicked Witch in the Enchanted Forest is going through Regina's things in the palace, taking her jewelry, her dresses, sort of just making herself at home. She does not like Regina, let's be clear. That is the first thing we learn about her. Meanwhile, the fairy tale characters are still taking the fact that Regina has sort of changed sides and she's working with them. She's kind of becoming a good guy. It's a lot to take in, but Regina's also kind of slaying because she reveals that there are underground tunnels in the castle, and if she can get in, she can lower the defense shields and they can take the castle back. As they're planning this, another flying monkey attacks them, specifically going for Robin Hood's son, Ronan. Regina turns the monkey into a stuffed animal and gives it to Ronan. They're trying to figure out where the monkeys are from and all this stuff. What is going on? And of course, my girl Belle, who knows everything about everything, says, guys, these monkeys are from Oz. That's when they realize it is the Wicked Witch of the West taking up residence in Regina's castle. Everyone is like, Regina, what did you do to her? Because usually people have a vendetta against Regina because she was the evil queen for many, many years. And Regina is like, for once, I have no idea. I don't know this bitch. So as David says, it's not a personal vendetta this time. Back in Storybrooke, Emma catches up with Snow and David. Something happening in Storybrooke right now is that residents are slowly going missing. Some of the dwarves are missing, and very importantly, Neil is missing. Nobody has seen Neil since the last curse. Meanwhile, again, Henry doesn't recognize any of the Storybrooke characters, but they all recognize him. Of course, they have to sort of pretend that they don't. And this is especially hard for Regina, who, when she sees Henry, is shocked and panicked. And she loves Henry still, because she is Henry's mother, but Henry doesn't remember her. Meanwhile, Robin and his merry men are hunting turkeys in the woods because that's what they do. Little John, one of the merry men, chases a turkey across the town line. And Little John is immediately snatched up and taken away by a flying monkey. So remember, the town line is, the line that you can't usually cross. And in season 2, if you crossed it, you lost your memories. In season 3, I think Rumple had Belle put up wards so that everybody was safe inside from Pan. And this time, whoever is patrolling, which we know is the Wicked Witch by now, kidnapping people using her flying monkeys. Emma then conducts a town hall meeting to just lay out all the information we know, which is not a lot. Again, they don't know it's the Wicked Witch quite yet. All of the town folks want to blame Regina for the current curse, which makes sense because she has cast at least 2 other curses, but she has to defend herself, which even Emma seems to find suspicious. And Regina goes, "If you all want me to be the evil queen, that's fine. That's exactly who you'll get." And Regina causes an earthquake and storms out of the hall, and everybody's clamoring, everybody's upset. Then the camera pans in on one of the Storybrooke residents as everyone's clamoring and falling over and being really angry with Regina. One lady is sitting primly, calmly, just watching the chaos unfold with a knowing smile on her face. Of course, we recognize her from the flashback scenes in the Enchanted Forest. This is the Wicked Witch. She's just not green currently. She's enjoying the chaos. But then, when Regina runs to her office, Emma follows her. I have not emphasized this relationship enough between Emma and Regina in co-parenting with the Evil Queen, because I have been focused on other Sapphic-coded relationships that I adore and love. And I have not done my due diligence with the Sapphic ship of Once Upon a Time. Swan Queen. But you know what? I will. Regina turns to Emma. Do you think they bought it? Emma. Yeah, I think so. So they had planned this outburst to try and buy time. And for once, they are working together. They are a dream team, a dynamic duo. Meanwhile, Mary Margaret is discussing her pregnancy at Granny's, which, guess who jumps in to add a word to this pregnancy discussion? The Wicked Witch. But of course, Mary Margaret doesn't know she's the Wicked Witch. The Wicked Witch introduces herself as Zelena, a common midwife who had missed the last curse, and this was her first time in Storybrooke. Mary Margaret asks for pregnancy advice from Zelena, and Zelena offers to be her midwife. By the way, the actress for Zelena is gold. I mean, she's so good. Anything she does, so dramatic, so funny, so iconic. I think they didn't mean for her to be a recurring character by the end of this season, but I'll just spoil it for you and tell you that she's in the rest of the seasons because she's so good. Meanwhile, Robin Hood, David, Hook, and the Merry Men find Little John injured in the woods. Back in the Enchanted Forest, Regina attempts to go into the tunnels under her castle alone. But Robin Hood, with all his chivalry and bow and arrow skills, insists on tagging along. He's worried about her because clearly the Wicked Witch wants Regina dead. They get into her castle and Regina starts concocting a sleeping curse. She doesn't want Snow to know that she is clearly making a sleeping curse for herself. She's going to put herself to sleep so that she doesn't have to think about Henry so much. She's in a lot of pain. She doesn't want anyone to know how much pain she's in, so she's going to put herself under. Back in Storybrooke, Regina is attempting to concoct a potion that will get their memories back, but she can't seem to figure it out. They decide to set a trap for whoever is the culprit of what is going on by pretending Regina is super close to making a memory potion that the person who cast the curse will try and stop Regina, therefore revealing themselves. So again, they're going to start a rumor Regina is super close to making a memory potion, so we're all going to know what happened. And that's a bluff, but at that point, the perpetrator would show themselves. Regina and Emma stake out in the office until they see someone through a window. But whoever's in there is hooded and disappears in a green puff of smoke. See, the fact that they teleported out is impossible because Regina had set her wards with blood magic, and only someone with her blood could get in and out of that office. So this is really confusing for everyone. Meanwhile, they've wheeled little John into the hospital where he starts convulsing like Will Byers in season 2 of Stranger Things, like the full thing, shakes, shivers, screaming. He turns into a flying monkey. So that's spectacular. But it does allow them to draw the conclusion that the Wicked Witch of the West has trapped them into Storybrooke. So between the green smoke, the kind of general chaos, and the flying monkeys, they're like, it was the Wicked Witch. We see Zelena go down into a cellar where she is holding someone prisoner. She has Mr. Gold as a prisoner in her cellar. He's spinning straw, he's talking to himself, he's clearly not well. There are like the voices, like that's what's happening with him. But he's alive. In the Enchanted Forest, Regina is in her castle and she takes down her wards so that everyone can go storm the castle and take it back over. Then she can administer her sleeping potion so that she can just like knock herself out. Like really just be done with everything, which is kind of iconic and kind of worrying. But who stops her? Zelena. Zelena stops her from taking the sleeping potion. Regina, who's also set blood wards around the castle, again, nobody can get in unless they have her blood. So she asks Zelena how the hell she got through the blood wards to her castle. And then again, we see a year later, same with her office. She's like, how the hell did you get in? You would need to have my blood. And Zelena responds with, Cora never told you the truth about us. Zelena is Regina's half-sister. And as I am making this video, I realized that Zelena and Regina rhyme, so that's good. Zelena is Regina's older sister who was sent away to Oz by Cora, their mother. Zelena was also trained once upon a time by Rumpelstiltskin. And she is angry that back a hot minute ago, Rumple had chosen Regina to cast the initial dark Storybrooke curse as opposed to choosing Zelena to cast the curse. And she is here for revenge. Oh, by the way, the tape, I forgot to tell if you're new. Blue tape is familial relations and pink tape is married or engaged or love or hooking up or something like that. But in this case, we are sisters. Oh, this is confusing because that's not Zelena's father, but this is just gonna have to be how it goes, I fear. Season 3, episode 14, The Tower. Back in the Enchanted Forest, we watch as David is walking around Emma's nursery. We've seen Emma's nursery with the magical wardrobe a few times in seasons 1 and 2, so we're familiar. He's confused. He's like, this is all wrong. Like, what is going on? This was destroyed when I can't say her name. This was destroyed when Regina took over. Emma appears. She's fully grown in a Cinderella-esque ball gown, and she is getting ready for her first ball. She asked David, her dad, to teach her how to dance. And as they're dancing, he's teaching her. Emma says, "This is how my childhood should have been, but you failed me." Then the wardrobe opens and begins to dramatically suck her in to the portal. With her parting words, Dream Emma says, "Don't fail the next one." David wakes up. David is in the Enchanted Forest. Snow is in a good mood, and she shares that she's pregnant. David falters, but promises that he's thrilled that they're having another baby. Back in Storybrooke, our heroes are attempting to look for the Wicked Witch, as well as Neil, who is still missing. Meanwhile, Zelena has Rumple captive in her cellar. She's forcing him to spin straw into gold. He's not doing so hot. Murmuring, singing to himself. And it's revealed that Zelena has the Dark One dagger. Remember, if you have the Dark One dagger, you can control the Dark One. So Zelena is the owner of that. She's villain monologuing to him. She's like, I had a bad father. I had a bad life. Things were bad for me in Oz after Cora abandoned me and the tornado swept me to Oz. She's after something, but we're not quite sure what it is yet. We then see her go into Gold's shop. to meet Belle, and Belle is running the shop in Gold's absence. Obviously, Belle thinks Zelena is just a regular old midwife. Zelena wants to buy a gift for Mary Margaret's baby, and when Belle goes to look for the perfect gift, Zelena freezes Belle with magic and goes into Gold's safe, where she pulls out, I'm not even sure what, like a lump of something important that I'm sure we'll find out what it is. Meanwhile, Emma and David are searching Regina's office for clues, and they find what might be Zelena's footprint, which has tracked berries into the office. So I guess on her shoe was squished berries, berry jam, and there are berries in the woods, so they think that she has come from the woods or she frequents the woods. Back in the Enchanted Forest, David runs into Robin Hood in the stables. David is drinking because he's worried that something bad is going to happen. He's essentially developing anxiety before our eyes. Robin Hood tells him of a route that would help David overcome his fears, because everything needs to be fixed by magic as opposed to therapy, talking to your wife, using your support system. That's literally everyone on the board except for Peter Pan and anybody who is dead. Graham is still up here. I don't have the heart to take him down. I think someone commented about it and they were take him down. I don't know, you guys. I miss him. And I was going to put a red X over him and a red X over Daniel, because they are dead and don't come back, but then some people are dead and do come back. And I didn't want the red X to ruin the aesthetic I have on the board. So I don't know. Graham's situation, do I bite the bullet, take him down? Because Daniel I'm not taking down because he's still he haunts the narrative, whereas Graham has been forgotten by everyone and everything, and nobody mentions him for another 6 seasons. You guys tell me. This route, magical route, is in a patch of haunted woods. Remember that. So David finds this route so he can self-medicate. I simply would have gone to see Archie. He's the therapist. He got his PhD from a curse. But I digress. Back in Storybrooke, David and Mary Margaret are meeting with Zelena the midwife. Overjoyed, exciting, and Snow loves her. David is more unsure, especially since they don't know her. They don't know what she was up to during the missing year. Zelena then takes what can only be this root that was in Gold's safe, slips it into David's tea, thereby relieving his nerves. Zelena is low-key being a good midwife by addressing Snow and David's anxieties. Obviously, you don't want to drug the husband. Back in the Enchanted Forest, David gets some of this root for himself, which is found in the forest. Before he can take it, he hears a woman's voice crying for help. When he runs towards it, he finds a tall tower with a woman trapped inside. He, being the daring prince he is, starts climbing the tower to rescue her. I love Tangled. So this is Rapunzel. I don't have a picture of her because I forgot. I'm so sorry. And she also doesn't come back. Spoiler alert. So, what you gonna do? When he enters the tower, he meets Rapunzel. She has been trapped there for a long time. Rapunzel reveals that she had come to search for the anxiety root, but a witch appeared and trapped her in the tower. When they try and leave the tower, a hooded witch appears and starts climbing the tower, presumably to attack them. Back in Storybrooke, Emma and Hook are out in the woods and they are trying to track the Wicked Witch. And Emma is trying to pry out of Hook what happened to him during the lost year. So Hook was not with our Storybrooke characters, and I guess he still has his memories because he wasn't swept up in the curse. We're not sure. It remains unclear. She's trying to pry out of him what happened. But basically, he's flirting with Emma. He is avoiding the questions. He's flirting with her. He's basically really happy that her marriage with Walsh is off. Okay. Anyway, they find the farmhouse where Zelena has been keeping Rumple. It's a farmhouse in the woods with a dungeon and a cellar. Meanwhile, David is catching up with them after his meeting with Zelena, but he's being stalked by the same figure that a year before he had seen climbing into Rapunzel's tower. Obviously, he doesn't remember Rapunzel's tower at this point, but still. He calls Emma, and it goes to voicemail, and he says he thinks he found the Wicked Witch. Back in the Enchanted Forest, in the tower, David goes to fight this witch creature thing. It's fighting back, and it is winning. It is throwing him around. We're juxtaposed to the scenes of him fighting it in Storybrooke. So he's fighting it in the Enchanted Forest and in Storybrooke right before our eyes. David manages to uncloak the figure, and it is him. He is fighting his own face. In the Enchanted Forest, the thing is Rapunzel's face, but then it's David's face, and David realizes that the root forces you to overcome your fears by forcing you to face them. Rapunzel faces her fear and pushes the manifestation out of the tower, and she is able to escape and return to her kingdom. So that's good. So they leave the tower, and this is all well and good. David admits to Snow his fears about having another baby, and they have a lovely heart-to-heart, what he probably should have done in the first place. Back in Storybrooke, David is still fighting the manifestation of his creature that wears his face, and he admits his fear of being a father and raising a child because he didn't get to do it with Emma. All he did was leave her in a wardrobe because he was forced. His hand was forced, which is a valid fear. Normalize men having anxiety. I think that if we all talked about our anxieties, and men too, because it's so stigmatized for men to have emotions other than like anger, we should all be talking about it. So men, if you have anxiety, I see you and I feel you. Get a therapist? Talk to a friend? Anyway, he rejoins Emma and Hook and now Regina, who has caught up with them, and they go see what's in the cellar. Regina reveals that when David used the hilt of his sword to kill the fear demon, his sword became a symbol of courage. Now this is going to be important. Remember that it is courage. The thing is, the sword disappeared when he killed the demon because Zelena took his sword. Anyway, they go to open the cellar, but someone has gotten there first. So when they open the cellar, it's empty save the human-sized cage and the spinning wheel with gold all around it. Rumple's not there, but this means that they know he is alive. Season 3, Episode 15, Quiet Minds. In Storybrooke, our heroes are trying to figure out how Gold is possibly alive, and also where he is, so Regina returns to the farmhouse. Meanwhile, Zelena has summoned Gold using the Dark One dagger, but he is not responding. Somehow he's broken free of its sway, and he runs away into the forest. Back in Gold's shop, the heroes reveal to Belle that Gold is alive, and Hook offers to stay with Belle to protect her from the witch in case the witch decides to come for Belle. Belle is like, he'll stay with me? He tried to kill me. And Hook goes, those were extenuating circumstances. Belle goes, twice. You tried to kill me twice. And that's the beginning of a beautiful friendship. I was watching a Once Upon a Time TikTok. If you make Once Upon a Time edits and put them on TikTok, like you are the people's princess, like you are iconic. And it was saying like the best sibling duo, so it was sort of like, God, I can't remember any of them, but this was like the one sibling duo that they were talking about, which was so cute. It was so cute. Back in the Enchanted Forest during the missing year, another really iconic team up, Belle and Neil are in Rumple's castle. They are sharing one goal, which is to get Rumple back, which honestly, like, so iconic. I love them together. Not like romantically, obviously, but as friends. Let men and women be friends. And they want Rumple back. Belle is wearing the most, like the wildest outfit. She's got these like leather booty shorts on, and then she's got her boyfriend's jacket on. This one, not that one, this one, that boyfriend's jacket. I don't know, her hair looks really good. They head to the library where they meet a magical sentient being, a candle called Lumiere. Back in Storybrooke, Hook is helping Belle sort through all her books when they hear a banging on the door. Who bursts through the door and promptly passes out? None other than Neil, who had been missing. Meanwhile, Henry knows that Emma is hiding something from him. Remember, Henry doesn't have any of his memories. He's like, all these friends you've never mentioned, this surprise trip to Maine. I'm missing school for this. You never want me to miss school. Something is up. During this conversation, Emma gets the call about Neil, and she's like, I gotta go, which is only making Henry more and more suspicious. The heroes meet Neil at the hospital, and he can't remember anything from the past year. Pretty typical. They reveal that Gold is alive. As of today, they know that Gold is alive. And Neil has this triangle-shaped burn, like on his palm, and so they don't know what that's about. Belle goes to her books to investigate it, naturally. Emma also has to break it to Neil that Henry is not going to know that Neil is his father. He's not going to know who Neil is at all. And Emma reveals that because Henry was so happy in New York and he was far away from villains and danger and all these really scary things, and Emma doesn't really want Henry to get his memories back, which this is going to be a recurring theme, so put a pin in that. In the Enchanted Forest, Lumiere reveals that his form as a candle is Rumpelstiltskin's punishment for him. He leads them to an esoteric book that is hiding a metal rod with a triangle on it. It looks like it could have made the burn that Neil eventually will have in Storybrooke. The metal rod is the key to the vault of the Dark One, and where the first Dark One was made. As soon as Neil and Belle leave the room, the Wicked Witch comes out to have a chat with Lumiere. She's like, good job making them believe that you're on their side. So Lumiere is a metaphorical flying monkey of the Wicked Witch. Back in Storybrooke, Zelena is helping Mary Margaret as a midwife. And she gets her talking about the Wicked Witch. She gets her to drink a glass of orange juice. You guys, we do not know what was in that orange juice, so write that down. Meanwhile, Regina returns to the farmhouse and runs into Robin. Sparks are kind of flying. They're kind of interested in one another. And in the farmhouse, they get a little bit, I don't know, like they're just like chatting each other up. Like I don't know what to talk about. I don't know how to say it, you guys. When Robin holds out a glass of whiskey, the lion tattoo on his arm is showing. Regina gets a flashback to Tinker Bell, who had told her that the man with the lion tattoo is her soulmate. She doesn't quite seem happy about that. Meanwhile, Hook has been left to hang out with Neil. Neil thanks Hook for getting Emma to come back to Storybrooke. And they hug it out, which is wild because, I mean, all of the last season they were sort of like, they both want Emma, as you can see by this pink tape. Like, they're both in love with her. It's giving love triangle era, all of this stuff. But remember, too, they knew each other way before they knew Emma. They're letting a woman, I sound so misogynistic. They're letting Emma come between their father-son bond. Because remember, Hook was basically the one that raised Neil after, so Neil was like abandoned by his father, as we know, landed in Neverland and was taken aboard Hook's ship. And Hook at this point like was an adult, whereas Neil was still a child. But because like Neverland, you never grow up, like Hook hasn't aged. Neil has, because eventually he made his way to our world. I don't know. But remember, Hook raised Neil for a while there. I don't know. I mean, Emma supremacy, but I'm here to tell you everything. I'm not trying to be misogynistic about it, but father-son duo, what can I say? And Hook lets Neil, so they're in the hospital, hugging it out. And Hook lets Neil go after the Wicked Witch, even though he promised that he'd make Neil stay in bed, stay in the hospital. Meanwhile, Emma and David find gold in the woods. Remember, he'd run away, and he is tweaking out. He's hearing these voices, and then a flying monkey comes after them, and those things are fucking scary. Emma and Neil are talking about Rumple. Belle points out that they are what is left of Rumple's family, and that he had died to save his family. He really redeemed himself in the end. We'll come back to that. They find the entrance to the vault, and Lumiere is like, yes, now you can finally free me. I spent 200 years in that library as a candlestick. And Belle is like, hold on, how long did you say? Because Rumple built that library for me right before the curse. It has certainly not been there for 200 years. So that's what catches Lumiere in the lie. Lumiere immediately confesses that he is working for the Wicked Witch. The Wicked Witch wants Rumple alive so that she can control the Dark One. Belle no longer wants to bring him back because that would just be bad news for everyone. But Neil continues, putting the key in the lock. He gets that triangle-shaped burn that we later see on his palm, and that's where that came from. The vault opens, and out of a pile of sludgy liquid, Rumpelstiltskin is reborn. Back in Storybrooke, Neil has caught up with Emma in the woods, and they are bonding in the woods about how she almost married a man disguised as a flying monkey. Well, I almost married a minion of my evil grandfather, Peter Pan, which was Tamara, if you remember her. She's over here because she's not on the board because she died. But they're having a sweet moment. Then Emma gets a call from Belle, who reveals that she discovered what the mark on Neil's hand is. It was the key to the Dark One vault. So Neil must have resurrected Rumple. As usual, Belle is right on the money. But Belle's book says that in order for that to happen, another life had to have been sacrificed. It was a life for a life trade, but Neil is still alive. She says that if Neil used that key, he really should be dead by now. Immediately as she says that, Neil's hand starts to burn and crumples. In the enchanted forest, Neil falls to the ground in pain, just as Rumple is resurrected. Neil starts to die. Then Zelena shows up to gloat. Rumple accuses her of tricking them and not telling them the price of this magic. Rumple is intent to not let Neil die, so he uses the magic of the Dark One dagger to absorb Neil into himself. It's weird. And during this, he gives Zelena the Dark One dagger. I think she sort of forced his hand. Then he starts tweaking out, talking about the voices, singing songs. So Neil is in Rumpel's body, essentially is what's happening. Just as Zelena tells Rumpel to kill Belle, Lumiere uses his magic to fend off Zelena so Belle can run away. Back in Storybrooke, it is Emma who realizes that gold is inside Neil's head. Neil begs Emma to use her magic to separate them, knowing that it will kill him. And it works. Gold comes back, but Neil begins to die. Neil tells Gold to remember who the witch is, and Gold remembers that the witch is Zelena. It's all coming together, baby. Neil starts dying for real. This is sad, you guys. If you're a Neil hater, maybe this is happy, because there's a decent amount of Neil haters there. I'm a Neil, I feel like I'm Neil neutral, you know what I mean? I see his mistakes, but I also see him trying in a big way. But this is sad. Emma's cradling him, and she's crying, and she's saying that he needs to hold on so that Henry has a chance to remember him, because Henry, again, doesn't know who Neil is. And Neil goes, "It's okay. Just tell Henry that in the end, I was a good father." He gives Emma her swan necklace back, and he says, "Go find Tallahassee, even if it's without me." And it's sad. It's terrible. His final words to Gold are to thank him for showing that sacrifice is about saving the ones you love. And with that, Neil takes his final breath and dies. This is the show that brings back its characters time and time again, for drama, for plot, for deus ex machinas. But I'll spoil it for you. There are really two characters who never come back. Graham and Neil. Our heroes go after Zelena, who now they really know she is the Wicked Witch. Jigs up, you know what I mean? Remember, Zelena had given Mary Margaret orange juice, so everyone's freaking out. What the hell was in the orange juice? Meanwhile, Zelena rolls up to where Gold is standing over Neil's body in the woods. She's come to gloat, and when Gold tries to attack her, she brandishes the Dark One dagger. She officially has hold over him. This episode ends in the cruelest way possible. The juxtaposition of the characters mourning Neil. Everyone's crying. Belle, Snow, Emma can't even tell Henry what happened. But she does reveal to Henry that the case she is on, this case in Storybrooke, Maine, was about his father, and that was his dad who had died, and that Henry's dad had died a hero. Season 3, Episode 16, It's Not Easy Being Green. Heart open into a bright green tornado. We're inside the tornado. It's green, it's spinning fast. But it clears, and when it clears, we see a baby in a basket. The baby, as per usual, is found by a nice peasant couple. Immediately, the baby begins showing signs of magic. The father doesn't like this, but the mom doesn't mind. Magic baby from a tornado, what could go wrong? But again, the father thinks that this is a sign of bad news. The mother does not care and decides to name the baby Zelena. As the couple walk away with their new baby, the mother goes, "And remember, we have to stick to the yellow brick road if we're going to make it to the Emerald City." So, if you're up to date on your Wizard of Oz lore, we are very obviously in Oz. In the Wizard of Oz, a tornado takes Dorothy and Toto to the land of Oz, where they follow the yellow brick road to find the Wizard of Oz in the Emerald City. When I was little, I would read that book cover to cover, and it would end, and I would just right back to the beginning, and I would read it on a loop. So, I'm quite familiar with Oz lore. I'm a Wicked fan, if you couldn't tell. Yeah. In Storybrooke, it is Neil's funeral. The whole town has rolled up. Everyone is in black. It's sad. Violins are playing. Things look rough. Things are rough. Guys, I swear this one's permanent. They're putting the body in the ground. As they begin the interment of the body, we see Gold back in his cage, and he's having a physical reaction to the funeral, he knows what's going on. In Oz, we see Zelena, who is now grown. She is tending to her father. He hates when she uses magic. He's mean to her. He's terrible. And he doesn't want her to learn to control her magic. They have a fight about it all. Her mom is dead by now, as the moms in these stories tend to do. He doesn't want her to learn to control her magic. He calls it wicked. And he reveals that she is not his daughter. He reveals to her that they had found her after she was brought over from another land by a tornado. So she didn't know that. She's probably an older teenager now. After this fight, Zelena storms out. She is determined to find the Wizard of Oz who will help her find her real family. Back in Storybrooke, Emma's trying to navigate how to help Henry cope with Neil's death. Hook offers to help Henry understand what Neil was like before Neil met Emma. So sort of doing the whole like teaching him sailing. Obviously he can't show him the Jolly Roger, which honestly the Jolly Roger isn't even in Storybrooke right now as an interesting Easter egg. So he's sort of helping Emma out by taking in Henry, distracting him so Emma can sort of investigate the Wicked Witch. Meanwhile, Tinkerbell, who is still around, is trying to help Regina pursue Robin, but Regina's saying that she's not interested in doing this. During this, Zelena rolls up to Granny's diner where they're having the after-funeral lunch. Zelena threatens them all with the Dark One, saying that she has the dagger. She also reveals that she is Regina's half-sister. Remember, in the Enchanted Forest during the Lost Year, we'd figured this out, but this is news to our Storybrooke citizens. She eggs Regina to learn the truth about their past and then meet her in the street at sundown for a duel. Witch fight. In Oz, Zelena has made it to the Emerald City. One short day. Yeah, you get it. She meets the Wizard of Oz, who is a large shadow behind a curtain. He is able to show how she was abandoned by Cora and carried away by a tornado to the land of Oz. Because Cora didn't want a daughter. Cora wanted to become royalty instead, which we see she eventually did by marrying Regina's father. But again, not Zelena's father. Zelena's father was decidedly not royalty. It is here that Zelena learns about Regina becoming Queen of the Enchanted Forest, becoming the evil queen, and also how Regina was trained under Rumpelstiltskin. This gives Zelena an idea. She wants to be the one to train under Rumpelstiltskin. She's got all this magic power, she doesn't know how to use it, so she needs to find him. The Wizard of Oz gives Regina silver slippers. In the original movie, the slippers are red to show off the Technicolor of the time, but since then they have been copyrighted, so any other media has to use the silver slippers, which they were originally silver in the book. So if you saw Wicked, they're silver. In this, they're silver because the red one's copyrighted. If she clicks her heels together 3 times, she will be taken to the Enchanted Forest. Sound familiar? The wizard just requests that she bring him back something of Rumpelstiltskin's. Using the shoes, Zelena is teleported to Regina's royal bedroom where Rumpel is waiting. Even he is surprised that Cora hid a child from him, and a magical child at that. Back in Storybrooke, Regina is in her vault of magic and things like that, and she finds a letter from her mother confirming that Zelena is her sister, but she won't say much more about it to Emma or Snow or anyone. Our heroes are trying to figure this all out, but since Zelena's got Rumpel on her side, they're worried. Belle is thinking she can get through to Rumpel without the dagger. Classic Belle. They go to the cellar where he's being held, and Belle tries to convince Rumpel to leave with her, but he senses that Zelena is there and tells her to run before it's too late. So really, not even Belle of Beauty and the Beast can get through to Rumpel right now, which is pretty normal. Meanwhile, Regina goes to the woods to think, where she once again runs into Robin Hood. He tries to get her to open up. He even reads the letter aloud. It is a letter from Rumpel to Cora detailing how Rumpel thinks Cora's firstborn is so incredibly powerful. Regina is upset because she always thought the letter was about her, but now we know it's about Zelena. Meanwhile, Hook and Henry are bonding. Hook shows Henry his sextant, which is like a thing that reads the stars. Hook reveals that he knew Neil when Neil was a boy, which Henry calls bullshit because obviously they look the same, but as we know, Neverland, never grew up, time travel, that kind of thing. Hook pivots and is like, how about we talk about how Neil also lost his dad? So like, you guys have more in common than you might realize, Henry. Back in the Enchanted Forest, Rumpel has agreed to train Zelena, and he thinks that she is the one that should cast the dark Storybrooke curse. And this is a long time ago. This is not the Forgotten Year. This is like before Regina was even chosen to cast the curse that brought everyone to Storybrooke. So it's like Zelena's backstory, if you're there with me. Are you there with me? As he's training Zelena, Rumpel pushes her to be as angry and envious of Regina as possible. Zelena doesn't like that Rumpel is still training Regina, and she starts to become green with envy. Literally, like her skin turns green. Zelena then goes to assassinate Regina with a knife because she is so upset. Remember, Regina doesn't know about Zelena at this point. When she stabs Regina, it turns out it's actually Rumpel in disguise. Classic. This was a trick. This disqualifies Zelena because, remember, To cast the dark curse, you need to give up the thing you love most. When Regina does it, she ends up giving up her father. That's what happens. Rumple thinks that the thing Zelena loves most is him. She's in love with him. And throughout the scenes, you can kind of see this and kind of tell. So it calls for some tape. This is like a loose love tape, but I just feel like, you know what, like, okay, can anyone count, like, this is what is happening. At least as far as I can see. Oh yeah, baby. So does this mean that Zelena went for the same man that her mother had gone for in her youth? Yes. So don't do things that we see in this show, you guys, okay? Okay. Zelena begs to still help with the dark curse, and Rumple offhandedly says, well, unless you can take me to a land without magic, then you still can't help. Because remember, the dark curse, the whole idea of it was to go to a land without magic to get Rumple's son back. Nobody knew this, aside from Rumple. He was manipulating everyone to do it, but that was his end goal. And Zelena looks at her silver shoes, looks at Rumple. She's like, I can do that with these silver slippers the wizard gave me. Now, Zelena refuses to help him, saying that he'll have to kill her in order to get the slippers. When he tries, she's able to escape and vows her vengeance against him. So that's why she hates him so much, but she's still kind of like down bad for him. Back in Storybrooke, Zelena is getting ready for this duel. She puts on her whole Wicked Witch outfit and everything, and the townspeople gather. Regina shows up and goes, didn't anyone tell you that black is my color? She came to slay. She starts the fight with a bitch slap. It becomes painfully obvious how jealous Zelena is of Regina, and this comes out during the fight where they duel with magic back and forth and back and forth. It does look like Regina is going to lose, especially when Zelena slams Regina through the window of the clock tower. Zelena attempts to rip out Regina's heart. But Regina goes, our mother taught me one thing. Never bring your heart to a witch fight. Something you'd know if she hadn't abandoned you. Insane thing to say. Insane thing to say. But, hey, we're fighting dirty. Zelena then rage quits, flying away on her broom in anger because Regina's heart is what Zelena really wanted. So Zelena got David's courage, remember, from the hilt of the sword. She controls Gold's brain. She's begun saying this. She's like, I have your brain, my pretty. We got a heart, we got courage, we got a brain. She wants Zelena's heart. If you're familiar with The Wizard of Oz, the Cowardly Lion goes to the wizard because he wants courage. The Tin Man goes to the wizard because he wants a heart, and the Scarecrow goes to the wizard because he wants a brain. So these are sort of very Wizard of Oz-y Easter eggs. Just keep it in mind because the heroes believe that these ingredients are going to make some sort of curse. We see Regina running back to the woods where she has left her heart. Robin had been in the woods guarding her heart, which is quite telling of what's happening. She then entrusts Robin with her heart for the future, to keep it safe from the Wicked Witch. Zelena, back in Oz, back in the flashback, Zelena returns to the Wizard of Oz in a rage. She wants to be taken to the moment her mother abandoned her. She wants to go back in time. She wants to fix everything. She's tired of this Rumpelstiltskin bullshit. She then brings down the Wizard of Oz's curtain and reveals him as a normal person named Walsh. Walsh had come from Kansas via tornado. Again, if you know The Wizard of Oz, that's how. Spoiler alert for the 1917 book. The Wizard of Oz is a normal man behind a curtain who had come over from Kansas just like Dorothy. In this version, it's actually the Walsh Emma almost married, which means, did Emma almost marry the Wizard of Oz? Yes. Did Emma almost marry the Wizard of Oz, who then was actually also a flying monkey? Also yes. And these are the truths that we really have to wrestle with in these trying times. You know what I mean? Zelena, again in the flashback, then turns Walsh into a flying monkey. And she completely turns green. Her entire body, her skin turns green. And she goes, when I'm done with Regina, she'll have never been born. Season 3, Episode 17, The Jolly Roger. In the Enchanted Forest, Some palace guards are riding down the road with a chest of gold. They're intercepted on the road by someone in disguise. It's Hook along with Smee. Oh dear. There we go. Smee and the rest of their pirate crew. They're plundering, pilfering, getting gold. Pirate's life for them. Their goal is to get a ship eventually. Now this is during the Lost Year. So again, they've all gone back to the Enchanted Forest because of Pan's curse. Hook, Killian, had broken off from the rest of our fairy tale characters to go be a pirate again. The pirates are celebrating in a tavern, and when Hook steps into the alleyway, he is accosted and held at knife point by a hooded assailant. When she takes off her hood, she is revealed to be Ariel. Ariel's back, you guys. She's back. She's better than ever. She looks amazing. She's iconic. And she's my favorite Disney princess. So write that down. Back in Storybrooke, David and Emma are attempting to build a crib for the baby on the way. Mary Margaret is still nervous about the baby coming with Zelena on the way. It's kind of becoming clear that Zelena wants the baby or something to do with the baby. Emma wants to fight back against Zelena, and she agrees to let Regina teach her magic. Because remember, Emma has magic from being the savior. She's just never really learned how to harness it. She hasn't needed it till now. That's not completely true, but you know what I mean. When David and Mary Margaret offer to watch Henry, Emma is like, I can get someone else to watch him. And David and Mary Margaret are like, what? Are we not fun? We're fun. So Henry doesn't think they're fun. Because David and Mary Margaret, they're pregnant, they're, accosting with baby tips and all these things. And he's 12 and he doesn't care. And Emma tells them just that, you know what I mean? But David and Mary Margaret are determined to prove him wrong, that they are fun. Meanwhile, Smee has found Hook and asks Hook where the Jolly Roger is, because the Jolly Roger didn't come with them back to Storybrooke. Hook claims he doesn't know what happened to it during the Lost Year, but remember, Hook is the only one that can really remember the Lost Year. In the Enchanted Forest, Ariel accuses Hook of kidnapping Eric because she saw Eric get aboard the Jolly Roger. Hook doesn't have the Jolly Roger, which means someone else does. A pirate named Blackbeard has the Jolly Roger. Hook is determined to get the ship back. He feels like he hasn't been himself recently, and he thinks it's because he doesn't have the Jolly Roger, like he can't be Captain Hook without it. Ariel offers up her services to help get the ship and Eric back. In Storybrooke, David and Mary Margaret take a walk on the beach, and who do they find washed up on the beach? Ariel. Ariel reveals that she has been searching all the realms for Prince Eric ever since that second curse. Ariel thinks that because Hook has retained his memories, and he's also a sea lover, they have some things in common, he might know where Eric is. So she's kind of trying to do the same thing a year ago in the Enchanted Forest, and then again now in Storybrooke. And Hook claims he doesn't know where Eric is, but it's kind of obvious he's lying. He's really hiding something here. But David and Mary Margaret convince Hook to go with Ariel to Rumple's shop and look for any of Eric's belongings, because if any of his belongings came over, they would have sort of landed in Rumple's shop. This is where Belle and Ariel unite. Remember, they had like the adventure of a lifetime in 3A, and they're best friends, and they're my Disney princess duo, and I'm obsessed with them. And while they're looking for Eric's things, they do find Eric's cloak, the one Ariel is wearing actually in the Enchanted Forest flashback, which makes Ariel believe that Eric is in Storybrooke. Belle puts a tracking spell on the cloak, which will lead them to Eric. Meanwhile, Regina is teaching Emma to use magic by forcing her onto a collapsing bridge to like get her magic to kick in. So, they're really having one-on-one time, hangouts, they're besties now. Historians say they were just friends. It works. So the bridge collapses, Emma's magic sort of like, I feel like it's like a car engine when you're trying to get the car to turn on. It turns on, it works. And she gets the collapsing pieces of the bridge to float. So really her magic, it's kicking in, it's locked in. Meanwhile, David wants to teach Henry how to drive to prove he is a cool babysitter. At this point, Henry is 12 and manages to take out a mailbox in David's truck, which, you know what, I also have been there, and I was a little bit older than 12, which is, it's fine though, because David's the sheriff, so Henry won't get in trouble. Back in the Enchanted Forest, Hook and Ariel find the ship, which is indeed manned by Blackbeard. Hook forces himself onto the ship. Blackbeard looks like Jack Sparrow. Like, that's the visual we're getting. I'll put up a picture. Hook duels with Walmart Jack Sparrow, and Hook wins because he knows which floorboard is going to, like, trip Blackbeard up. So, like, basically he knows the ins and outs of this ship. He knows every creak of the floorboards, which ones he can step on to get, to, like, go up, and then Blackbeard trips up and whatever. Ariel realizes that Eric is not on board, and when Hook demands where Eric is, Blackbeard accuses Hook of going soft. So like pirates, they want to be ruthless, they want to be angry, they want to be mean. And remember, Hook has not been feeling like himself, he's just been feeling a little wishy-washy. So this insult of going soft kind of hits hard. He's going soft because he's helping Ariel, who is a girl. So misogyny. Hook denies this, and Blackbeard issues a deal. If Hook surrenders the Jolly Roger to Blackbeard, he'll tell him where Eric is. If Hook refuses, Blackbeard will kill Eric. Catch-22. In Storybrooke, Ariel and Hook follow the cloak to the harbor, but it lands in the water and sinks. They take this to mean that somewhere along the line, Eric has drowned. Ariel thanks Hook anyway, calling him a good man, telling him he's more than just a pirate and that he has a good heart. Back in the Enchanted Forest, Hook decides to make Blackbeard walk the plank, which Ariel is really upset about because she just helped Hook only for him to turn around and choose his ship over helping Ariel. She's trying to convince him to help her in the name of true love, but he says love brings nothing but wasted time and endless years of torment, which means something. Something is hurting Hook's heart, bringing him endless years of torment. Hook forces Blackbeard off the plank. Ariel hits him, she calls him selfish and heartless, and she thought he could be a good man, but he proved her wrong. She dives back into the sea and turns into a mermaid to go find Eric on her own. In Storybrooke, this memory is weighing heavily on Hook. Only he can remember it. She can't. He runs after Ariel, and he confesses he knows more about Eric than he lets on. He confesses that Eric had been kidnapped by Blackbeard. So the whole story that we saw in the flashback, he'd been kidnapped by Blackbeard and that he carries that shame for refusing to help her. She hits him, calls him a coward and a monster. He says he'd give anything back to make things right. He made a big mistake because he was heartbroken and empty. Ariel makes him swear that he still believes in love, and she makes him swear it on the name of the woman he loves. So Hook says, I do still believe in love, and I swear it in the name of Emma Swan, which is sweet. Until the non-diegetic background music changes dramatically. Ariel goes, thank you, Captain. That's exactly what I needed to hear. And she turns into Zelena. Zelena reveals that Ariel was never here in Storybrooke. Ariel had actually found Eric a while back, and they've been living happily ever after, ever since. Zelena was posing as Ariel in order to curse Hook. She cursed Hook's lips so that the next time he kisses Emma, she will lose all of her magic. And Zelena, on top of all this, threatens him. Kiss Emma or I will kill everyone that Emma loves. So this is bad, but Hook is smart because he does come to the conclusion that if Zelena is doing all this in order to take away Emma's magic or kill Emma or hurt Emma, something about Emma, like Zelena can't do it herself. She has to go through someone else. So Zelena does not have the power to go after Emma directly. Hook goes to Regina and Emma, and he kind of lies. And he's like, oh yeah, like we found Eric, we found Eric, Ariel's good, like she left, like she's gone, you know what I mean? And they're happy. And Regina and Emma go to use a mirror to check in on the scenario, mirror on the wall style. Which I don't know why we couldn't do that in the first place, but when Emma does so, it shows that Ariel and Eric are united, and she is proud of Hook for helping out a friend when, remember, he didn't really help him out. Emma can kind of tell that he's still like avoiding the truth, lying, that kind of thing, and she knows something's up, but for now, she lets it go. Season 3, episode 18, Bleeding Through. Regina answers the door to find Zelena with a basket of green apples. So, metaphorical, some symbolism there. Regina is very much a red apple kind of girl, as we saw in the fact that she tried to poison Snow with a red apple, etc., etc. But Zelena has come to stake her claim with her green apples. Zelena makes herself at home, and the two witches argue about Cora and apples and everything. Zelena projects her mommy issues. You know, it is what it is. It is what it is. Turns out the conversation was a distraction while Rumpel, under his curse, goes out into the woods to take Regina's heart, which again, she had hidden in the forest. Naturally, Robin and his merry men have been protecting Regina's heart, as we saw a couple episodes ago. Gold uses Robin's son against him, threatening to kill little Roland, or Ronan, or Roland? Can't remember. Oops. He doesn't want to do this. He says as much, like, she's forcing me to do this, like, it's in your best interest to obey, or else something terrible is going to happen. So Robin is forced to turn over Regina's heart. When Regina comes to the scene, he has to admit this to Regina, and she doesn't blame him because he would do anything for Roland just as much as she would do anything for Henry. But they have a problem. Regina's still alive, which means Zelena has not crushed her heart to kill her, which means that Zelena needs Regina alive. Regina goes to Gold's shop and asks for Belle's help. I like that we have transitioned from going to Rumpelstiltskin for everything, because we can't right now, because he's literally like held hostage. So we go to Belle. She's a much better option. Who do we go to when we have a problem? Not Rumpelstiltskin. Just kidding. If we stuck to that ideology, there would be no more seasons. This would be the last season. But for now, we're going to Belle. And again, Belle, just like she did with Hook, rightfully so, like, really turns it up on Regina. She's like, why would I help you? You imprisoned me in a tower. You kept me in an asylum. You physically and mentally tortured me for years. Regina is like, okay. But she pulls the Zelena has Rumpel card. Zelena has the love of your life, and you may never see him again. Pulls that card. She also does apologize to Belle, so character development for Regina. She's becoming one of the good guys. And Belle agrees to help. Regina and Belle locate the two-sided candle that killed Cora. So if you think back to season 2, Snow killed Cora using this magical two-sided candle. Just put a pin in that for now. In the Enchanted Forest, we have gone a couple decades back. We see a young Cora. She is serving as a wench in a tavern. The casting is also really good because it is an actress who looks exactly like, Mother Cora, older Cora. She sits down and she is flirting with a man who reveals himself to be Prince Jonathan. Prince Jonathan asks for her hand in marriage and he makes her a ring of straw. The catch is he needs to leave for 2 weeks on Kingdom Prince duty, but when he returns, she will have a ring made of gold. So Cora says yes to this proposal because she is a miller's daughter. That's her backstory. She's quite poor and she is very ambitious. She wants to be a princess. Cora offers to keep Jonathan company in his room. And so as we know about the birds and the bees and all that, we know what's going to go on. In Storybrooke, the heroes are having a meeting about how to deal with the theft of Regina's heart. Regina wants to summon Cora to rehash Zelena's childhood. Remember, Cora's dead, but they have the murder weapon in the room with them, and also the murderer, which means they can sort of do a summoning spell to the spirit of the dead. They use the candle to do the seance ritual. They manage to open a portal, but Cora does not come through, so plan failed. Meanwhile, we watch as Zelena places Regina's heart into a pentagram sort of thing, right next to David's courage and right next to Gold's brain. Like, she made a symbol that represents Gold's brain. In the Enchanted Forest, we watch Cora as she waits with her straw ring for Prince Jonathan at the crossroads where he promised he'd meet her. Turns out it's been 2 months since his departure, not 2 weeks, and when he returns, he is rude as fuck. He's mean. Turns out he's not a prince, he's a gardener. He calls her a harlot. She counters that she is pregnant with a baby. Their one-night stand? Come on now. We don't have birth control. Ooh, that was a scary sentence to say in this day and age. Donate to your local abortion funds, guys. They're better than Planned Parenthood because they'll go directly to patients who need it. I'll link some down below. Live, laugh, love, USA. Love you guys. Everybody stay safe. Everybody stay calm. You are more loved than you know. And Once Upon a Time is here for you when the government might not be. Got it? When Prince Jonathan goes to leave, she jumps on him. She calls the guards. They're kind of in a garden situation. She's screaming, whatever. I don't know where the guards are. She doesn't have guards. But, so he shakes her off and he runs away. But get this, another man comes up and asks if she is okay. She's like, no, this man came and she can't say it, so she's like, he stole from me. He's like, well, maybe I can help. My name is Prince Leopold, and he is an actual prince. So what are the odds she meets a fake prince and then a real prince? And a prince who is actually on the board. Naturally, Cora begins rizzing up the real prince, telling him stories of her life as a miller's daughter. She impresses him by building a fire, something as a prince he doesn't know how to do. You know, blue-collar skills. She's rizzing him up. He falls for her, we can plainly tell. So, hold on. But the catch is, he's already engaged to Princess Ava of the Northern Kingdom. Where's my wand? Oh, there it is. They have been engaged since birth, and they will be meeting for the first time tonight. Back in Storybrooke, Snow and Regina have stayed behind after the seance to clean up a little bit. They hear a strange noise coming from one of the closets in Regina's house. In that closet, they find the ghost of Cora, who apparently did come through the portal. They just didn't realize it. The ghost naturally goes after Snow. Her killer tries to hurt Snow. Regina comes to Snow's defense, using her magic to protect her. Regina demands answers, but Cora pushes Regina to the side, enters Snow's body, and implants the story of Cora's early life into Snow's mind. So, Snow is learning some of these backstories at the same time that we are learning them. Meanwhile, Hook and Emma are on a date. Emma shows him that she is beginning to master her savior powers. But something's clearly up with Hook. Like, something's off, and she can tell, which we know it's the curse on his lips that will cause her to lose her powers. She doesn't know that, though. Luckily, we are interrupted because Belle rushes into the diner. She is the hero of the day. She is the true savior of the people. She's underappreciated. If they didn't have her, nobody else knows how to read, I guess. So it's her. It's her and her books, figuring things out and slaying, I fear. She rushes in because she has figured out what spell Zelena is going to attempt with the ingredients. Meanwhile, I don't know how to explain this, but the whole gold, oh, where is he? Gold Zelena. This is becoming like a full body workout. I was not having to do this in the other videos. The other videos, I was like off to the side, which I guess maybe I could be, but Gold and Zelena, this whole kidnapping situation, it's giving pink tape, which I'm now realizing is red. That doesn't mean anything. I just can't tell the difference between my pink and my red washi tape. Leave me alone. It's giving tension. It's giving sultry. It's giving like power play. Like, can I say that? She's threatening him, but like over dinner. She like dresses him up and like they're in essentially what is like a dinner date. Obviously something is up and she wants to reveal a secret she's been keeping from Gold. Zelena claims that Neil is still alive and that she is going to change the past with her time travel spell. So Zelena's plan is to make a time travel spell that allows her to go back and change her childhood so that Cora raises her instead of giving her up. She says that when Snow's baby is born, that is the final ingredient to allow her to go back and claim the life that she rightfully deserved. My eye is twitching. Okay, can we? In the Enchanted Forest, we are back in the park, where Jonathan, he's not even on here. I mean, he's Zelena's father, but I don't think we see him again. He's not on here. Turns out, Cora has a new gold ring. She is engaged to Prince Leopold. Jonathan is there. Jonathan rolls up. Okay, we do see him again. I'm sorry. I'm confused. So somehow this engagement got called off so that they could be engaged. You know what I mean? But Jonathan rolls up. Annoying. And he is talking to Cora in this park. And he's like, I know that the baby in your belly is not Leopold's baby because I know it's my baby. So she's like still pregnant and is kind of telling everyone that is Leopold's baby. He blackmails her, forcing her to give him gold and jewels in exchange for his silence. But guess who hears this conversation? Princess Ava, who has been eavesdropping. She's also in the park. Why are all these royals in the park? I don't know. Look at the set. I don't know what's going on. But Princess Ava has heard this. When Cora returns to Leopold, it's obvious that Ava had told Leopold about Cora's deception. Cora denies it, but Princess Ava comes out of the woodworks with the truth. Ava tells Leopold to check Cora's pockets, where she has all these like gold and jewels to pay off Jonathan. And that's enough for Leopold to toss Cora aside. And as Cora is being dragged away, Ava promises to Leopold that he will have a wife more worthy than Cora. And a worthy wife will give him the child he deserves, a child as pure as snow. So these are this sly girl. Not that we're not all sly. You know, I think we're all sly. She is Snow's mother, and this is the family triangle. Yeah, baby. In Storybrooke, Belle reveals to our heroes that Zelena is attempting to go back in time. Apparently, these ingredients, brains, courage, heart, newborn baby, are the product of any time travel spell, and nobody has attempted a time travel spell. With Snow's newfound insight, remember this whole story has been implanted now in Snow's brain due to Cora's ghost. Yeah. So Snow reveals that Cora was forced to give up Zelena because of Princess Ava. So basically, Cora, the engagement got called off, and she didn't want a child. I couldn't find her. So that's what made her give up Zelena for the chance at becoming royalty. Her second chance with Regina. Kind of fucked up. But Princess Ava was sort of the snitch. And Emma kind of says what we're all thinking. And she's like, I thought our family were the good guys. But that means Zelena really wants to go back to kill Princess Ava, which means that nobody here would have been born. In the Enchanted Forest, we see Cora giving birth. She takes the baby in a basket and sends the baby away. She says to the baby, I'm giving me my best chance, and as long as I have you, I can never be more than a miller's daughter. Harsh. A green tornado comes to whisk baby Zelena away. In Storybrooke, back at Gold and Zelena's dinner. Gold, he knows what's kind of going on here, and he attempts to seduce Zelena. But it turns out he was going for the Dark One dagger she keeps in her boot. So as you know, he's making moves, making big moves. He tries to grab the dagger. Zelena stops him, and Gold says he'll never help her because Neil gave his life to beat Zelena, and Rumple is not going to waste that. At the end of the episode, Robin vows to get Regina's heart back, and they finally kiss. There you go. They're official. During the lost year in the Enchanted Forest, a cloaked figure is riding, you guessed it, like hell. It's Belle. She has returned from her escapade with Neil, where Neil and Gold merged bodies. She arrives at Regina's castle, informing Snow, David, Regina, Aurora, and Philip that Neil has sacrificed himself for Rumple and did their sort of body absorption thing, and Zelena got the dagger. We're all caught up. This throws a wrench in some of our plans. You see, Snow and David wanted to announce their second pregnancy to the kingdom. This, they believe, would give the kingdom hope. The hero's all about giving hope to those who need it. Aurora reveals that she knows what Zelena wants. Zelena wants the charming baby. They know this because Zelena has threatened them and their baby, remember Aurora's pregnant, if they didn't tell her about Snow and David's arrival. So they sort of, I don't know if blackmailed's the right word, they sort of sold out. They sold them out. You know what I mean? Got sold out. At this moment, Zelena takes the time to ride in on her broomstick and turns Aurora and Philip into flying monkeys for telling the truth. So that's not good. She then freezes everyone in the vicinity, going up to Snow and touching her stomach to ensure that the baby is healthy. She then's like, yeah, that'll work. See ya. Take care of yourself. Eat well. And I'll see you when the baby's born. So Snow is freaked out because now this is the second time that an evil witch has threatened the well-being of her and her baby. This happened when Emma was born. The last time that they dealt with this, when Emma was born, they had had a head start because, remember, they'd gone to Rumpelstiltskin to ask what can be done. What can be done to fix this? Since it was Rumple who told them last time that Emma would be the savior and that things could pan out to be okay, naturally they go to Rumple again. But catch is, Rumple is locked up in Zelena's, formerly Regina's castle. Robin offers to break into Rumple's castle because he'd done it before. He can do it again. If you remember, he did it a long time ago, back when he was played by a different actor, and Belle had set him free. It was one of the Belle episodes. In Storybrooke, Zelena and Robin are now, they're together, like they're official. So I meant to say that Regina and Robin are now together and living it up on top, but I accidentally said Zelena, so that's scary, subtle foreshadowing. But it is Regina and Robin together, happily, so far. They're making out like teenagers. They're together. We put pink tape on the board. We're all good. Meanwhile, Regina and the heroes have a meeting, and they're really trying to figure out why Zelena brought everyone back to Storybrooke. Why not do her time travel curse back in the Enchanted Forest? All that stuff. They think if they can break the Storybrooke curse, then they can retrieve their memories from the lost year in the Enchanted Forest and really see the whole picture of what is about to happen. They think that during the lost year, they had figured out how to defeat Zelena, but they forgot because Zelena enacted the curse, if that makes sense. So if they break the curse, they can figure out how to defeat Zelena. They're just going off the assumption that they'd already figured it out last year, during the lost year. Meanwhile, under Zelena's orders, Rumple has captured Hook, basically just to be like, why haven't you kissed Emma yet? Like, I'm gonna have to start, like, making kills. Yeah. She's like, if you don't kiss Emma, I'm gonna kill Henry. Henry is gonna be caught in the crossfire, just like Neil was. In the Enchanted Forest, Robin and the heroes break into Rumple's castle, where Rumple is in a cage, spinning straw into gold, doing the whole mumbling, singing. He's got 2 brains in his head. There's a lot going on. But they still demand to know how to stop Zelena. Belle even tries her like, you're a good man. Rumple, just tell me. On him. And it like kind of works. Like sometimes it doesn't work. Like, but she does like a good job of being like, I know you were in there. She asks, how do we stop Zelena? He answers, light magic. Glinda, the good witch of the south. Find her. She'd been banished from Oz to the Enchanted Forest, and she can help you. They manage to get one more line of sentience out of him, which he says is a riddle. Through the door, step inside. If pure of heart, then she won't hide. Back in Storybrooke, Henry is still being gaslit, which is like nothing new. Regina did it. Pan did it. Everyone's gaslighting Henry. And he's angry because Emma has been lying to him about everything. He wants to know if she's going after the person who killed his dad. She puts her foot down saying, I am, but I'm not telling you anything. I know best. I am your mother. Henry then tries to steal Emma's car to drive home, but Hook catches him. Meanwhile, nobody's seen the storybook, this entire curse. And this is very important. Nobody's seen it because they're like, maybe the lost year's in it. Like, we just need the storybook. So they're looking for the storybook in Mary Margaret's closet, where she found it initially, that first curse. Emma is stressed because I guess the idea is to like use the storybook also to help Henry get his memories back. But again, back to this idea that she doesn't want him to get his memories back. She's not controversial. You know what I mean? Like I get it. I get that you don't want to hurt him, but by lying to him, do you not see you're already hurting him? He stole your car. That kind of thing. So, but the idea is that she wants to go back to New York and just live a normal life. They had a very peaceful, regular life with no witches, no werewolves, no nothing, no mermaids, no magic. So, that's the idea. In the Enchanted Forest, the heroes, I think it was like Snow, David, and Regina, arrive at a door in the woods where Glinda is. So, the heroes, Snow, David, and Regina arrive at a door in the middle of the woods, presumably where Glinda is. If you don't know who Glinda is, wow, you really don't know anything about the Wizard of Oz. In the book and the movie, Glinda is the good witch who welcomes Dorothy to Oz when she arrives via tornado. In Wicked, I don't even know how to like describe, like you just need to see Wicked, okay? You just need to like read up on Wicked and see it. Snow recalls the riddle. Step inside. If pure of heart, then she won't hide. So Snow and David are able to get through the door because they are pure of heart, which at this point, I mean, she killed someone. So I would debate that. I got questions on that, but it allows them to go through. Regina can't make it through. Yikes. David and Snow meet Glinda, who introduces herself as the Good Witch. Now, Glinda looks like this, but I'm not here to win. I'm here to have fun. So on my board, this is my Glinda. And I will tell you, if Zelena weren't such a recurring character, Cynthia Erivo would be right here. But unfortunately, Zelena adds a lot more to the plot than random Glinda, who I'm deciding is Ariana Grande. So we'll put Glinda right there. You know, she thinks she found a place where she belongs. She's like, I'll make you popular. After her banishment, you know, she's been changed for the better, changed for good. We're operating on one short day. Like, we meet Glinda. She reveals that Zelena's power is collected in a pendant that she wears around her neck. And the most powerful wielder of light magic has the ability to defeat Zelena. Who do we know that can wield light magic? Emma. But Emma is not in this land. Remember, we're in the Enchanted Forest during the Lost Year. During the Lost Year, Emma's in New York with Henry. She's not here. So Snow and David decide that this means that they have to go back to Storybrooke and find Emma. They realize they need to enact the Dark Curse. For me, they come to this decision kind of quickly. I would simply reconsider. I would think about it a little bit more, but that's okay. Because this means they have to destroy the heart of the thing they love most. David begs Snow to use his heart to enact the curse. Back in Storybrooke, Emma realizes that Henry has stolen her car and run away. Henry, his picture is also running away. I should put more tape on it, but I won't. She tracks his phone, classic early 2010s Life 360. She tracks him to the docks where he's hanging out with Hook and Smee, his buddies. Hook is trying to get Henry to sail away with Smee. So Hook, we know that Hook is trying to protect Henry from Zelena, because Zelena outright threatened to kill Henry. But Emma doesn't know this, and she's angry. Things are going bad, especially because flying monkeys begin to attack them. As they're being attacked by flying monkeys, they're running. Henry doesn't know what he's even looking at. He is saved by Regina, Emma, and David. Blazing guns, magic wielding. He whipped out his sword. You know what I mean? When the flying monkeys are vanquished, Emma places the storybook in Henry's hands, imploring that he believe in magic. When he touches the book, it all comes back to him in flashes, and we see it all now. To break a curse, you must give the kiss of true love. So as they were getting the storybook, trying to get Henry's memories back, they were kind of like, Emma, just like the first curse, where you kissed Henry's forehead, it was the kiss of true love, and the first curse broke, you're gonna do the same thing to break this second storybook curse so everyone can get their memories back. As she goes to do this, as she goes to kiss him, he is teleported away and into the arms of the Wicked Witch. Zelena then goes to kill Henry, as she had promised to Hook, but Emma manages to wield her magic power long enough for Henry to sort of like break from Zelena's grasp, run back to them. When Regina grabs Henry after this tussle, she gives him a kiss on the forehead, and that is what breaks the second Storybrooke curse. So both of Henry's mothers at this point have broken a curse due to the love for their son and each other. As this happens, Snow and David recall the following. So, now we're back in the Enchanted Forest, Lost Year. This is what happened to get the Dark Curse to enact. Having no choice but to take David's heart and enact the Dark Curse, David and Snow say their goodbyes before Regina rips out David's heart. David dies, but before the Dark Curse can take effect, Zelena rolls up on her broom to curse the Dark Curse. She adds a forgetting potion into the Dark Curse so that they won't remember who Zelena is. Kind of genius for that one. All seems lost. David is dead. The curse itself is cursed, but Snow, in a stroke of genius, asks Regina to split her heart in half so that David can have half her heart. Regina is worried because you really have to love someone with all your being in order to do this. But we know that Snow and Charming do love each other that much. So when she does it, it works and David comes back to life. Back in Storybrooke, Now we know it was the heroes who cursed themselves in the first place, and that the only way to defeat Zelena is through Emma's magic. Control-Alt-Delete. Regina and Henry's reunion is adorable. She's happy to have him back. He thinks it's awesome that his mom is dating Robin Hood. Meanwhile, Emma is angry with Hook for trying to send Henry back to New York. Hook reveals that Zelena cursed his lips so that he can't kiss Emma. That's why he's been acting so weird. Still, Emma is angry with Hook's actions. Snow and David are also angry now that they remember that they were not the ones who messaged Hook to try and get Emma to Storybrooke. So Hook's whole thing was like, your parents messaged me, or like, I think your parents messaged me to help them. But David and Mary Margaret are like, we were never the one who sent the message to get Emma. So whose idea was it to tell Hook to bring Emma to Storybrooke? Well, back in the Enchanted Forest, Zelena is preparing for the second dark curse. She brews herself a potion that ensures that she will remember everything. She's in Rumple's castle. She gives it to Rumple, offering him to keep his memories. Then walks away to go deal with cursed things. It is then that we see Neil rip himself out of Gold's body. He briefly manages to hold on just long enough to write a message to Hook, telling Hook to bring Emma to Storybrooke. With this last act of bravery, of willpower, of turning to his rival to get Emma to break another curse, which honestly is what August did all that time ago. August told Neil to abandon her to get Emma to Storybrooke, and instead this time Neil told Hook to find her. And with that, he goes back into his father's body. In Storybrooke, we see Henry and Emma visiting Neil's grave to say their final goodbyes. And at the graveyard, Mary Margaret begins to go into labor. Season 3, episode 20. Oh, I don't know what it's called, actually. I didn't write down what it was called. Once Upon a Time, Season 3, episode 20. Kansas. Thank you, Wikipedia. In Storybrooke, David drives Mary Margaret to the hospital. They get her checked in with Dr. Whale. Everyone's locked in. They're running out of time. Emma is intent on going after Zelena, killing her. David convinces her to let Hook come with her on this murderous escapade. She's not happy about this because she's still mad at him. Meanwhile, Archie and Henry, I'm glad they bring Archie back. They're underutilizing their iconic season 1 characters. They have a heart-to-heart about if Henry wants to stay in Storybrooke. And to no one's surprise, Henry loves Storybrooke and he loves everyone here and he wants to whoops. He wants to stay. Meanwhile, Zelena is readying her pentagram of all her ingredients. Back in Oz, a while back, not the lost year, a couple years before that, Zelena is watching Regina practice magic with Rumple from afar. She's kind of gazing through, not a mirror, but something similar. You know how it goes. Then Glinda appears. She wants to thank Zelena for exposing the Wizard of Oz as a fraud. Because remember, she did do that. She exposed him as a fraud and turned him into a monkey. Glinda wants to help Zelena find her true potential. She introduces Zelena to the other witches of Oz who sort of run the north, south, and the east. And they need a witch of the west. The Witch of the West is a seat in their council that represents innocence. Turns out, Glinda is the keeper of the Book of Records. Not the Grimoire Omaha, but the Book of Records in Once Upon a Time. Which has told Glinda that a sorceress brought to Oz by a tornado would become the protector of the land of Oz. Zelena is a sorceress brought to Oz by a tornado. Essentially, it is foretold that Zelena will be a good witch and the other Ozian witches want her to fulfill that destiny. Back in Storybrooke, Hook interrogates Emma on why she's so scared of staying in Storybrooke. But Zelena rolls up, setting Rumple on Hook, drowning Hook in a horse trough on the farm. Emma runs over to the horse trough and gives Hook mouth to mouth the kiss of life, which saves Hook's life, but transfers her powers over to Zelena. So Emma is powerless and Zelena is all the more powerful. Back in Oz, Zelena really takes this choice of being good to heart. Because remember, she's been sort of she's green at this point. She has a choice to turn her back on her envy for Regina. Glinda presents her with a pendant that will hold all of her magic while also making her stronger. It also makes the green envy drain from her skin, so she is normal. As Glinda shows Zelena her territory of the West, They're looking, everything the light touches shall be yours. They see a tornado enter Oz, spinning and spinning and spinning, and with it brings a house. The house is dropped in the land of Oz, and in it is a girl in a blue gingham dress. This girl's name is Dorothy. Now again, I'm not here to win, I'm here to have fun. So this is Dorothy, Judy Garland. May she rest. She was mistreated on this set. Protect child actors. We don't do it enough, even in 2025. If you want to see what ouat, Once Upon a Time Dorothy looks like, she's right here. But for now, our Dorothy, Judy Garland, and I'm just going to put her right there for now. Dorothy is from Kansas. Glinda immediately takes a liking to Dorothy, but we can tell that Zelena does not like Dorothy. As a girl who'd been brought by a cyclone, Dorothy is a threat to Zelena. And basically she finds the book of records, which reveals that Zelena will be taking the seat of the greatest evil instead of innocence. This convinces Zelena that she herself is evil, and she becomes green with envy. Well, not evil, but wicked. In Storybrooke, Zelena, now with Emma's powers, rolls up to the hospital just as Snow is giving birth. Oh no, I don't have the baby for the board. Oh no, I forgot. Sorry. Snow gives birth to a baby boy. Zelena breaks in and steals the baby. So she's got the baby and Emma's magic. Henry is like, I've got an idea. Mom, Regina, what if you try and wield light magic instead of dark magic? But that's not Regina's forte. But Henry's onto something. Back in Oz, Zelena, now completely green with envy, confronts Dorothy. When she tries to kill Dorothy with fire, they're at a well. Dorothy splashes a bucket of water on Zelena. And I think we've seen this film before. Zelena begins melting. This freaks Dorothy out. All she really wants to do is go home. She doesn't want to be a witch. She doesn't want any of this. So Glinda sends Dorothy down the yellow brick road to go see the wizard who will bring her home. We watch as Dorothy goes down the yellow brick road, and Zelena reappears. So the melting thing was just a farce, and Zelena is sort of watching from far away. In Storybrooke, Zelena brings the baby, the heart, the brains, and the courage all to her pentagram. The heroes roll up to retrieve the baby and everything. They start fighting. Flying monkeys are involved. People are not doing well. Magic, swords, guns, all the whole thing. Rumple, rocking everyone's shit, because, he's under Zelena's control still, and he's very powerful. Regina manages to harness light magic, taking Zelena's magic pendant. Thank God. Gold, now free. I guess that means he's free now. Vows to make Zelena pay, but Regina grabs the dagger, commanding Gold to stop. Regina doesn't want to kill Zelena, so she arrests her and places Zelena's pendant in her crypt. Back in Oz, Dorothy and Glinda roll up to the Emerald City, greeted by the Wizard of Oz. So we know that the wizard has been turned into a flying monkey, but Dorothy doesn't know that. So the wizard gives her silver slippers, again, not ruby, that will allow her to return home to Kansas. So then, click, 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 3 clicks of the heel, Dorothy's gone. Glinda's like, okay, cool, babe, you can show yourself now. And to no one's surprise, Zelena is behind the wizard scam in this version. Zelena banishes Glinda to the enchanted forest, leaving her all-powerful over Oz. Back in Storybrooke, Zelena has been defeated and arrested. Regina feels bad for Zelena, since she'd been corrupted so much by Cora. She wants to give Zelena a second chance because she believes that evil isn't born, it's made. Gold, now free, is reunited with Belle. As per usual, she's always had faith in him. Regina had given Belle the Dark One dagger. And Belle returns it to Gold saying, as long as you promise not to go after Zelena in revenge, you can have this. He, of course, says he will try. He will try his best not to go after Zelena in revenge. He gives the dagger back to Belle and asks her to marry him. And Belle says yes. Meanwhile, David returns home with him and Snow's baby, and Snow gets to hold her son. I forgot to put him on the board. Finally, we watch as Gold pays a visit to Zelena in her cell. he reveals that Belle doesn't actually have the dagger. She only has a replica, and he had done a sleight of hand, just like his father before him. Gold uses the dagger to stab Zelena. She turns into glass, which breaks apart and blows away in the wind. We watch Zelena's magic leak out of the pendant in the crypt and leave, presumably to go to its rightful owner. Okay, I've saved the day. Usually when I make these, I write down all the new characters as they enter the story, but I forgot, which is why I don't have Little John and some of the other characters. But don't worry, I drew a really scary baby. So this is going to be the baby for now. I'll get you a new one, but you know, this is, I mean, if you're here, you know that this is the Walmart Once Upon a Time video, okay? I'm kidding. I work really hard on these. I'm very proud of my work. Okay, so this is baby. He's on the back of, like, David's, like, dad, but David's dad's no longer on the board because he's irrelevant. I could keep him on the board, but then that would mess up. I guess I could put him, like, I need a bigger board. I need a bigger board. But he's not in this season, okay? And that's what feels important to me. But I think it's time for Graham to retire because I don't have room. Yeah, because I think he's not coming back. So there's the baby. Ooh, that looks really scary. I'm really glad I took my thumbnail photo before I put the baby on. There we go. Okay, hold on. Don't fret. And you'll find out next season, which I am doing, that the baby is going to become so irrelevant. But I think Ginny Goodwin was pregnant. And so they kind of had to write a baby in. So here's Emma's brother. And Henry's uncle. That's really scary. Okay. Season 3, episode 21, Snow Drifts. Cold open. We are at a group home in Boston, and a little blonde girl is being adopted. All of her friends are saying goodbye to their friend. We pan over to a much older looking blonde girl, maybe 13, 14, Emma. And she's very clearly the oldest in this group home, watching her friend with her new parents. In Storybrooke, David and Mary Margaret are at their house with the baby. They want to share the baby's name at a special ceremony, much like they would have done with Emma if they could. They've decided that the special ceremony, the Enchanted Forest tradition, will be a potluck at Granny's. Meanwhile, Henry has been searching for apartments in Storybrooke. And, you know, he's very open about that. And you can just tell on her face that Emma is not sure about staying in Storybrooke. Meanwhile, it's official. Regina and Robin are whining and dining one another. They're very much together. They're happy, and they've lost so much, but now it feels as though they've finally found their happily ever after. This is when Regina reveals that she always kind of knew he was her soulmate due to Tink's premonition about the lion tattoo. We watch as Gold hides the fake dagger from Belle. She believes she has the real dagger. She comes in with the fake dagger and she's like, she's freaked out because she doesn't want it. It's too much power, but he's lying. But he tells her, like, I trust you. He just reminds her that they need to plan for their wedding. Everyone is celebrating at Granny's, the defeat of Zelena. Henry is reading to the baby, the story of how Snow and David met, how she tried to rob him and then hit him over the face with a rock, and then they ended up going on an adventure, saving each other's lives, all of that. And I mean the whole town here, because Catherine pops in to say hello, David's former fiance in both worlds. She pops in to say hello. Ruby pops in to say hello. We never see Ruby anymore. Yeah, it's all a great time. Underutilized favorites. During this conversation, Hook lets it slip that Emma wants to go back to New York. Nobody, especially Henry, is very happy with this reveal. Emma's not happy that Hook spilled the beans. Emma leaves the party and Hook goes after her. Remember that. In that moment, Henry sees a spire of like orange magic coming out of Zelena's time portal. The portal has opened. And when they go to the police station, they see that Zelena is gone. They, of course, turn to Gold, accusing him of doing something, but he's like, no, Belle has my dagger, like I couldn't do anything if I wanted, which is bullshit, but still, what's going on? They watch the security cam tape back. Gold uses his magic to erase the fact that he essentially killed Zelena. So it kind of looks like Zelena just ended herself. Meanwhile, Hook is trying to convince Emma to stay. She doesn't feel like she belongs in Storybrooke. She's a runner. She's never had a family. She's good with Henry. She doesn't want more of a family. I mean, she's being a little bit selfish. I get where she's coming from, wants to protect Henry. But Henry, at this point, has more than one parent looking out for him. I mean, this is the village. The traumatized 11-year-old village. This is what takes a village to raise a traumatized 11, now 12-year-old. Suddenly, they see the gold spire. It's really close to them. And they don't know what it is, so of course Emma approaches with Hook. Emma doesn't have her magic back, and when they get too close, the time portal sucks Emma and Hook in. Emma and Hook appear in the enchanted forest, coming face to face with a wanted picture of Snow White. So, they get sucked in, they go to the enchanted forest. Meaning they've landed in the enchanted forest during the time when Snow was on the run from the evil queen. Remember, this is Zelena's time portal. They have gone back in time. They're trapped in the past. And Emma goes, how do I know how to get back to the future? Who do I look like? Marty McFly? They decide to go, say it with me everyone, to Rumpelstiltskin for help. Just then, they witness evil Queen Regina roll up. Remember, they're in the enchanted forest. Regina is evil. She looks like this right now. She demands to all the extras, like, where is Snow White? Who is hiding Snow White? All this stuff. Regina is deciding to kill an innocent person, to capture and kill someone, and Emma wants to interfere, but what is the first thing about traveling in time? Is you can't mess with anything that happened in the past, or else it'll change the future. So she can't do anything. Already, they had the storybook with them, so Hook, when he was chasing Emma, had brought the storybook, and as they're watching, like before their eyes, the storybook is becoming blank, like the stories are erasing themselves. Naturally, they don enchanted forest garments. Emma looks really good. As they begin their trek, they witness a cloaked figure tear down a wanted poster and cut down a tree. Then a familiar carriage comes clopping down the road. It is David and his former fiancée, Catherine. It is the scene that we see over and over again where Snow and Charming meet for the first time. Emma and Hook hide and watch with bated breath as their carriage stops because of the fallen tree that Snow cut down. The carriage is about to be ambushed by Snow White, but Emma accidentally snaps a branch, which is loud enough to throw Snow, who is in like a tree. It's loud enough to throw Snow off her game, and instead of ambushing the carriage, she runs away. This means she never stole David's mom's ring, and David and Catherine move on, and Snow and Charming never meet. Classic. Emma and Hook, well, they go find Rumple. But Rumple is the one who finds them. If you recall, Rumple and Hook had major beef in the past, so Rumple is going to kill Hook on sight, but Emma's like, no, we're from the future, and you know how I know that? Your son is alive. And that is the only thing that makes Rumple believe them. She introduces herself as the savior of the curse he is planning to enact. So they go to the Dark Castle. We see Belle. Of course, Emma is like, Belle, and Belle is like, who are you? And then they are sort of back and forth, and, you know, they don't like each other, but they like each other, and blah, blah, blah. And she goes, it's a miracle you two fell for each other. Rumple's like, huh? They need to get Snow to steal David's ring, which she'd originally stolen in the original timeline. So, Snow, who has gone to a tavern, she's trying to get Blackbeard to smuggle her on a ship far, far away. Hook gets the idea to find himself in the past, because he's always frequenting taverns. If they find himself, they can intercept Snow. So Emma goes to distract past Hook. Now there are two Hooks, because the Hook in the original timeline and then the one who's Marty McFly ended up. Emma goes to distract Hook because I know I'm his type. Hook's jealous of himself. Hook goes to offer Snow passage on a ship, but only if she steals Prince Charming's mother's ring. So we're trying to gear it back on course here. So in order to get the ring, they have to go to a ball that Charming is attending. So everybody gears up to go to Charming's ball that night. Emma and Hook are just kind of planning on supervising this whole thing, but Rumple appears and decides to play fairy godmother and gets them into ball gowns and ball garb and so many fun, cute little things, and they look so good. And he glamours them so nobody will recognize them later on as all the events unfold. Things won't be crazy. So they get to go to the ball in disguise. And so they do, and they go, and Hook and Emma dance. And they're waltzing, and it's very romantic until the evil queen walks in. The evil queen walks into Charming's ball. And naturally, she's invited because who would, in this era, who would go against the evil queen? She's a tyrant. Meanwhile, Snow is scaling the palace walls to look for the ring, and David finds her and tackles her, and they have the exact same exchange as the other timeline. He goes to sock her, pulls his fist back when he realizes she's a girl. Women, she corrects. And she knocks him out with, instead of a rock, it's a jewelry box. But it's the exact same, which kind of shows that we're on the original timeline. Snow escapes with the ring, and David cries out, "You can't hide from me. Wherever you go, I will find you. I will always find you." Except now Regina's guards are after Snow, and that throws a wrench in their plans. When one goes to shoot an arrow at Snow, Emma knocks the guard out of the way to save Snow, and discovers that Snow had dropped the ring. So, as the guards come in to corner Emma to take her away for interfering, she grabs the ring, hides it away, and is arrested. Season 3, Episode 22, There's No Place Like Home. We flash back to Portland, 2001. Emma is waiting in a parking lot, and Neil shows up with coffee and a lockpick. He picks the lock to an amusement park. They hang out in this abandoned amusement park. Emma asks Neil about his backstory, and of course he's a bit evasive. We know his backstory, but this is way back in the day when Emma didn't believe in magic and she didn't have parents or a family or anything. He talks about his father, who he says was a good guy but changed, and of course we know Neil is talking about Rumple. He says that he missed home when he left. He has the sentiment that you know you've really got a home when you miss it. In the Enchanted Forest, Emma is thrown into the dungeon. She got kind of outfit change? Can I say that? She looks like Odette from the Swan Princess. The woman in the cell across from her, mysterious woman, is the one who the queen arrested and decided to execute just the day before. The woman reveals that everyone will be executed tomorrow, including Emma. Meanwhile, we watch as Prince Charming captures Snow White in a net, saying, "I told you, I will always find you." We've seen this sort of enemies to lovers, to friends to lovers before. So we're back on track, except when he demands the ring back, she says she doesn't have it. Luckily, this is when Hook steps in and he's like, "I know where the ring is." So he was sort of just hiding. He must know the story well enough to go, I guess maybe Rumple helped him, but he knows the story well enough to get them back on track to finding this ring. He's like, "My lady, my girl has the ring, but she is captured in the evil queen's dungeons." So Hook, Snow, and Charming team up to rescue Emma from Regina's palace because everybody needs the ring. As they're traveling, Charming asks about the fairy dust Snow keeps around her neck. We saw this in Season 1, Episode 2, but if you remember, she keeps fairy dust around her neck to use on the evil queen to squash her into a bug. Got it? So the writers are having fun with sort of revamping their old original conversations. It's also quite fun because Emma has named herself Princess Leia and Hook has named himself Prince Charles because obviously they can't say their real names. So Princess Leia and Prince Charles are in the house. Snow also enlists Red to help them get into the castle. Remember, she's a werewolf, so they've got this whole gang. Meanwhile, Emma and Mystery Woman are chatting it up, talking about how much they miss their families. And Emma said, "If my mom was here, she would tell me to have hope." Emma quickly spies some loose wire in the cell, and she makes a lockpick just like Neil made all those years ago. When she goes to rescue Mystery Woman, she pauses because she has to make a decision. She's not supposed to change anything that happened in the original timeline. If Mystery Woman was meant to die, then Mystery Woman should die. As Red, Hook, and Charming are going to save Emma, Emma and Mystery Woman dash around the corner, and they all sort of run into each other. Hook goes, "Swan, you're depriving me of a dashing rescue." And Emma goes, "Sorry, the only one who saves me is me, a woman." Meanwhile, Snow has gone to the queen's room to try and kill her with the fairy dust, but Regina catches her. When Snow tries to use the dust, Regina blocks it with her magic, turning her guards on Snow, capturing her, and setting her to be executed. She's going to be burned at the stake with surprisingly little fanfare. It just is going to happen. She gets put on the pyre. Not good. Our heroes see this happening, And we watch as Snow dies in a fire. We watch as Snow is burned at the stake. Regina has won. But Emma is still there. If Snow had really died, then Emma would have died as well, because she, I guess, never would have existed. And as they're speaking about it, as they're contemplating, a ladybug is buzzing around Hook. And he's like, oh, take it. And Charming's like, no, wait, I know who that is. Snow had used her fairy dust to turn herself into a ladybug and fly away. Genius, genius. Because now the fairy dust initially was used, God, I can't even remember in season 1. It was not used on Regina, which means it can't be used on Regina in this timeline. That would be too much of a change. So fairy dust out of the picture. Snow is able to summon the blue fairy randomly, and the blue fairy is able to roll up and turn her back. Easy, easy money. But the next morning, Snow has disappeared with Charming's ring in the direction of the troll bridge. She is going to pawn it off. It's a good thing Emma knows her parents' story, because it sounds like we're back set on the right direction, but Snow doesn't have the fairy dust anymore, and that's how she won against the battle with the trolls last time. So naturally, they run after her. They run after them, and they don't really have to do much, because when Charming and Snow battle with the trolls, as we saw back in season 1, instead of using the real dust, Snow bluffs and tells the trolls, this is fairy dust, you better run away. So if you're keeping up with me, everything's back on the right track. The fairy dust is gone. Snow and Charming, they go their separate ways at first. And Hook and Emma watch that. And Hook's like, but why are they like going their separate ways? And Emma's like, well, it took my parents a while to admit their feelings for one another. And Hook is like, I kind of know where you got that. Meanwhile, we have to deal with the ramifications of releasing Mystery Woman. They decide to bring Mystery Woman back to the present with them. They knock her out to do so, because obviously she does not know what's going on. And Rumpelstiltskin, they go back to Rumpelstiltskin's, who reveals he cannot open the portal. So during this, he had promised that he could get them back to the future. I don't know if I said that, but that's what he did. He can't do it. So instead, he's making a forgetting potion so that he doesn't remember any of this and accidentally change the future. Apparently, the only one who has used the portal is able to open it, if they can wield magic. So he banishes them literally like to just a random attic, somewhere where he will never see them again. He basically leaves them to die. But Emma is like, someone who's gone through the portal who has magic. So her magic came back when Zelena died, but Hook is like, you've been ignoring your magic because you want to go back to New York with Henry. And Emma is like, I'm gonna stay. Because watching my mother die, watching my family die has changed my mind, and I need to stay with them. Of course, Storybrooke is my home. And as we all know, there's no place like home. Emma is able to wield her magic, opening a portal that brings the three of them home. But Rumple appears, grabbing Emma's arm. He wants to know what happens to Neil, and she has to break it to him. Neil died to save all of them. Emma has to convince Rumple not to try and change the future, and allow things to happen as they were. And in one stroke of goodness or logic or anything, when the portal closes and Hook and Emma go back to the future, he drinks the potion. So he forgets all of this, and he's even like, what am I doing in this attic? So that's good. Portal spits out Emma and Hook and Mystery Woman, who land back in Storybrooke. Emma runs back to her family because there's no place like home. Emma reveals that it was her that was Princess Leia all the time, so I guess now they have these sort of altered memories in their minds, and they were like, you were Princess Leia? So it's all coming together. For them, it's only been a couple minutes, but for them, it's been a hot minute and a long adventure. Emma is like, yeah, I want to be I want to be with you guys. I'm staying. You are my family. And also, as Princess Leia, as Princess Emma, my first request is to know my baby brother's name. So Snow and Charming reveal that they named the baby Neil. Now I know this is controversial in the fandom, so let me know what you think. I never hated it. Neil did his best in a way, I think. I don't know. You can change my mind though. So as Hook and Emma are so happy about everything being back to normal, they're talking about how Hook was able to escape Zelena's curse in the first place. Remember, during the Lost Year, he managed to escape it. He had all of his memories the whole time. And he was like, well, I came back to Storybrooke through a magic bean, not the dark curse, which I guess wasn't Zelena's curse. It was Snow and Charming's curse, whatever. And Emma is like, how on earth did you come across a magic bean that must have cost a fortune? And he was like, yeah, it was the price of a pirate ship. And Emma goes, you traded your ship for me? And he says yes. and they kiss. Meanwhile, Rumple and Belle get married. I hate Belle's outfit in this. I think it's terrible. But they get married, they say their vows. Belle compares Rumple to a dusty book and a chipped cup in the same sentence, so do with that information what you will. He's beautiful on the inside, I guess. And it would be romantic if we didn't know he was fully manipulating her, and this is going to come back in season 4, so stay tuned. I'm also underemployed right now, so season 4 is going to come quicker than the rest of the seasons. So stay tuned. Regina and Robin are also having a happily ever after. Everyone is celebrating at Granny's. And when they enter, Emma brings over Mystery Woman for Regina to meet, just because Mystery Woman has only ever seen Regina as the evil queen, etc., etc. And Mystery Woman's like, hey, she doesn't trust Regina. But that becomes a lot less important right now, because we pan over to Robin, who complete recognition on his face, and he's like, Marion? So Mystery Woman, they have brought back Robin's wife, Marion, which throws a wrench in Regina's happily ever after. So now we have Maid Marion, Robin's wife and the mother of Robin's child. With this action, Emma has broken Regina's heart. Emma is horrified and conflicted, and Regina, angry and heartbroken, goes, well, you better hope to hell you didn't bring anything else back with you. Wait for it. We cut to the warehouse where Zelena had her portal. The pentagram is empty now, except it's not. It's being filled with like an icy blue liquid that sort of spreads all around the pentagram, meeting in the middle. The liquid rises, forming the shape of a woman in a long icy blue dress and gloves that she throws off. And you guessed it, ice and snow shoots from her fingertips as she struts out of the warehouse, long cape, long braid trailing behind her. I believe we have just met Elsa of Arendelle. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I am going to get a start on season 4, because hot take, I really like season 4. If you want updates and things, you can follow me on TikTok and Instagram. I do some behind the scenes stuff. I had a fun little TikTok promo situation ready for this video. But if you're just a YouTube girl, you're just a YouTube girl, and I will see you in my next video. Again, thank you for watching. Yeah, thanks for everything. Bye, guys.